What is up, guys? This is Mr. Sports Freak 56, and today we have a special guest with us.
You guys know me. Most of you should anyway. I am ND Sean 45. I've been calling Notre Dame videos here on YouTube for the last 8 years now, going back to when I first started here in 2009 as Big Sean Power 10. And Mr. Sports Freak 56, thank you for having me along. It's a real pleasure.
Glad you're here. And let's get into the reason that he's here because, come on. I live in Illinois. Why in the world would we have ND Sean 45 on Mr. Sports Freak's channel? Well, this is a special weekend. This weekend, tomorrow, since this video is getting released Friday, I'm getting married, and ND Sean 45 right here is one of my groomsmen in my wedding, so he's staying with me. And that's why the video's so late this week, and we're not really going to get to see the game too much, so we do apologize with that since we're going to be busy partying tomorrow night.
And the funny part is, people, I am just meeting him in person for the first time. We've only talked on the phone until now.
Yeah, but we've been good friends for quite a few years now, and just the fact that I lived so far away from Illinois before I moved here just about a year and a half ago, we just couldn't ever see each other, and I've been broke almost my whole life, so I can't get out the game. So just
been there, done that.
So we will start off the preview of this North Carolina versus Notre Dame matchup this week, and I'm handing it off to Sean.
But before we do that, everybody, let's give a round of applause for Mr. Sports Freak 56 and congratulate him on tying the knot.
Thank you.
On camera, I'm going to shake your hand. Congratulations, man. I'm glad you found the right lady to compliment you.
I appreciate it.
So, all right, guys. North Carolina, the Tar Heels, they are 1-4 on the young season. But here's the thing, people. I think, despite their record, they are a much better team than the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. Why? Let's just face it. I'm not trying to dog the MAC conference, but wouldn't you say it's fair, Mr. Sports Freak 56, that the ACC is going to get much better talent than a MAC conference team?
Yes, of course. And we've seen the last few years that both these North Carolina schools in the ACC, Duke and North Carolina, have been making quite a bit of noise on the football front, and you get that nice little pipeline down in the South through South Carolina, Georgia, and even into Florida, these guys that are not being picked up by Alabama, LSU, Florida, Georgia, and they're coming here, and you're going to have way more talent and way stronger opponents in the ACC, and that's why Notre Dame joined the ACC.
Well, and also, if they can't get picked up by an SEC school or a Florida school, they're going to want to go to a place where they can shine.
Right.
Especially shine right away, too,
yeah.
like a lot of these guys do. There's wide open spots all the time in a school like this.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing, people. My first key for the Irish to winning this game is stopping North Carolina quarterback Chaz Safran. He's a dual-threat quarterback. He's been one of the few shining stars on this North Carolina Tar Heel team. And so it's going to be a huge test for our defense this week to, at the very least, contain him, to keep him in check. Because if we don't keep him in check, he's going to really hurt and burn us big time. So we got to step up and make sure that he's uncomfortable and that he doesn't slip away from us. So we'll take it back to you. What's your key, Mr. Sports
And
Freak?
kind of following with what Sean said, he's going to make plays with his feet. And one of his favorite targets is Ratliff Williams, a very speedy wide receiver. And we saw in the Duke game, what was it, last week was the Duke game? Or
No,
was it 2 weeks
last
ago?
week was they lost to Georgia Tech. It was a week before they played Duke.
But he has afterburners. He's going to give our defense fits. And if we can, like Sean said, if we can get pressure on him, he is a redshirt freshman, so he's going to make mistakes. And that's what killed them in Georgia Tech, and that's what killed him in Duke. So we got to keep up the pressure, and we have to handle Williams in the secondary, Tranquil, and the rest of
Julian Love, Sean Crawford.
Yes.
Those guys are going to need to step up big time to shut him down.
Yes.
You shut him down, it's going to be not a cakewalk, but it's going to be a lot easier from that point on if you're able to do that.
Yeah. And we're not saying Notre Dame's automatically going to win. They should win this game. They're playing North Carolina. We seem to have the team that can hang with anybody this year. But North Carolina's got some talent, and Notre Dame can't play them soft. They have to play them like they're playing in Alabama or in LSU going for a playoff spot in this college football playoff year.
Well, I said after the Miami of Ohio game last week, the biggest mistake that you could make coming off a First it started with our victory over Michigan State. I said this the week before after that game too. You don't let the record fool you of your opponent. This North Carolina team may be 1-4, but the last thing you want to do is let your guard down and think, "Oh, gee, we've been winning pretty big lately. We can just coast in this one." No, you can't coast. You can't coast. Keep the high tempo going. Keep playing like you're playing the top team in the country every week. Because if you let your guard down, that's when your opponent, in this case, for lack of a better term, a weaker opponent with a lousy record, that's when they're going to come and hurt you because they're gunning for you. You're the ranked opponent. You're the 4-1 team. This is where teams can wake up when they want to make a statement for themselves and prove a point.
Yep.
So we cannot let our guard down in this one. But another factor I want to point out in this game is as high tempo and powerful as that North Carolina Tar Heel offense is, here's where I think the difference is going to be. Their offense is great. Defense, they have not been so great. There are some flaws in their defense, and I'm not saying that they're flat out horrible, but they're not as good as they have been. Their defense has been their weak spot, and that's what I think is what the Irish have to really capitalize on is put the hurting on that defense. Again, it goes back to what I said about not letting up. Their defense is not that good. Show the world this weekend why your offense has been so great. Josh Adams last week had 159 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. Don't let up. Put the hurting on them. So I think that's going to be the key matchup is our offense against their defense. Our offense has been pretty explosive with a few exceptions, like when we played Georgia. Had a hard time getting things going.
Yes.
And even in the other games, too, we've had a hard time getting things going. But once we get going, and you've seen it, too, as well as all you Irish fans out there watching, when we get going, we're tough to stop. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a fan. It's because we've seen it.
Yes.
I mean, when we get going, we can do no wrong, it seems like. So instead of having a slow start, just do that from the get-go.
Yep.
Do that from the get-go, and it's going to be a long day for that North Carolina defense.
Yes, it is. And we just, like I say every video, I know when I say this every time and I sound like a broken record, the 3 biggest things you have to do in these games to win the games is you limit your turnovers, you get turnovers on your own, and you limit the mistakes and penalties. If you can do those things, you win the game 9 times out of 10. The team that wins the turnover battle, that doesn't have as many penalties, is going to win this game. And it killed us in the Georgia game. It bit Michigan State in the ass when they were playing us. I mean, we took full advantage of that Michigan State team. And if we hadn't given those opportunities, that game could have been a way different game.
Yeah.
And North Carolina will capitalize on those if we give them a short field or a dumb penalty that pulls us back 15 yards or 5 yards or whatever amount of yardage it is. And, we're going to possibly be without Wimbosh. I mean, we don't know what's going on. He's got a boot on his foot right now. And, I mean,
I haven't heard any updates.
Yeah, I mean, we could be starting somebody else that hasn't started all season yet.
Ian Book, he's next in line.
Right, so we just don't know about that. So that's even more imperative to not make mistakes when you have a quarterback that hasn't gotten his feet wet a lot yet and is going to be have a lot of pressure because, as Sean pointed out, everybody's gunning for you when you're 4-1 or undefeated. And just the Notre Dame name.
Well, the
Notre Dame name makes you a team that everybody wants to beat.
Well, let's face it. I mean, no. What are we in the rankings right now? Are we 20?
We were 22 last week. I would say I'm pretty sure we're 20 this week.
Okay. Well, regardless, we may not be a top 10 team, but we're still, like you said, we're still Notre Dame. People are always looking. We got a good thing going right now. We're on a roll right now. And granted, I know we still have teams like USC and Miami coming up, but right as it stands right now, we're on a roll. We've been beating teams pretty heavily, even though they haven't exactly been powerhouse teams. But a team like North Carolina, who is likely going nowhere. I mean, let's face it. When you start 1-4, it's hard to get on a roll. They're just trying to get bowl eligible right now at this point.
Yes,
and chances are they probably won't. That's my prediction as it stands right now. But they're going to look to make a statement. This is probably going to be their Super Bowl, their bowl game.
Yep.
And so this is where they're going to try to make it count. And like as I said many times already, This is where you cannot let your guard down because this is where a team starts to get hungry. They're going to look to play spoiler for the bigger teams on the record that are looking to make something happen. So we can't slip up in this game. We can't underestimate our opponent. And as a matter of fact, I'm actually going to use something that's non-football related here. Bruce Lee, the legendary martial artist, he said this many times in his career back in the day, in his martial arts career and whatnot. He said the worst thing you could ever do is underestimate your opponent or underestimate anybody for that matter because you don't know what kind of talent or what kind of knowledge they could possess that you don't expect. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing here that applies to Notre Dame and in a football game. You can't underestimate anybody.
Yep. And we've seen it. We've seen it in history. We've seen it this season. I mean, I know Michigan fans hate this being brought up all the time, but Appalachian State beating Michigan. Last year it was Illinois State beating Northwestern and Northwestern.
And one of my favorites, I just got to mention, the Bison of North Dakota State beating the Iowa Hawkeyes last year. Because I grew up about 90 miles away from Iowa City. A lot of Hawkeye fans. So that was my favorite last year when that happened.
And it's football's that kind of a game. It's not a game that's dominated by one player or two players. It's a team sport, and we've seen teams not just in the college ranks, but even in pros where they're average, but all those guys buy into a system and they can make a lot of noise. So, like Sean said, we can't take North Carolina soft at all, and this is what we use to impress the voters. What are you doing against teams that you are supposed to beat? Are you beating them handily, or are you beating them by a field goal in the last few minutes of the game? If you're beating them handily, then people are going to want to vote for you. If you're not, why would you vote for Notre Dame?
And I'm telling you, on a personal note, I hate that. I hate that, you have to resort to doing that just to impress people. I think, in my opinion, I just think if you win the game, that's all that should matter.
Right.
But unfortunately, that's what people look at are the quote-unquote style points.
Yep. And that's college football, unfortunately, for us. It's not the NFL where you win a game in the NFL, you won the game, you're another step closer to the Super Bowl, and that's that. Doesn't matter if you won by 10
they focus strictly on
or
record.
if you won by 50. Here, it's all about the style points and, are you scoring 65 points a game like Alabama did the other week against, what was it?
Ole Miss.
Yeah, Ole Miss. So, you just don't know. So, if we can do all those things, I think we can win this game.
I think so,
and I
too.
think we should win this game. So, that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching.
No, hold on.
Is he going to stop me here?
Yes, I'm stopping you on your own show, on your own turf. We got to give score predictions.
Oh,
that's
we
usually,
do.
That's usually what I do.
I totally got ahead of myself.
That's usually what I do.
He goes first.
Okay. So here's how I see it, guys, because I always do this on my channel. I'm not trying to tell you how to run yours.
No.
But I just think since this is a special video, you're only like the second person that I've ever done a video with.
Really?
Shamrock Jerry was the first after the title game in 2013.
Yeah.
But I don't really have a lot of other people on my channel with me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because they don't want to be seen with me because of other online stuff or what. But you know what? I'm not going to get into that. Score prediction. This is how I see this one going down. Notre Dame, we've got a high-powered offense. North Carolina, they have a high-powered offense. But here's where the difference is. We have a better defense. Mm-hmm. Their defense is lousy. Now, I think North Carolina is going to put some points up on us. There's no denying that. With a dual-threat quarterback as talented as Chaz Safront is, or is it Surratt?
Surratt.
I always try to get my names right, but sometimes it just doesn't happen, people. Forgive me. But if we can contain Surratt, and if our offense is as high-powered as they have been and they put the points up, then this is my final score prediction. I can honestly see us putting up 50 points in this game. So my final score prediction, Notre Dame, I'm just going to say an even 50. So Notre Dame 50, North Carolina 24. They'll put some points up on us, but I think that with as long as Wimbush is healthy, as long as Josh Adams is healthy, which I found out he was just taken out last week as a precautionary measure.
Yeah,
I'm glad it's nothing serious. But he's been on a tear all season long, and if he can just get some more touchdowns, I think he'll be a legit Heisman candidate. But that's just a side note. So that's my final score prediction: 50 Notre Dame 50, North Carolina 24. If we do things right. Now on to you, Mr. Sports Freak.
Well, I'm going to be a little bit more of a jerk here and say I'm going to say 55 for the Irish and 17 for North Carolina. I just don't see North Carolina putting up that many points on us. I mean, they scored 17 points against Duke.
Well, they only scored,
and they got blanked. Was it blanked against the?
No, they got 7 against Georgia Tech.
Okay,
they got 7.
If you're doing that, I'd say 55-17. Don't hate me, North Carolina fans. I do have family in Durham though, so sorry about that. But that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, smash that like button down below. And as always, have a great day. God bless. And go Irish,
baby. And this is ND Sean 45 signing off. God bless. Go Irish. I had to get my finish in there too.